Hey everybody, Shandon here. Today we're talking with my good friend Brooke Procida, who's visiting us from New York City. Brooke is a career consultant who spends a lot of time with actors, preparing them for both performance and auditions. Thanks for coming, Brooke.
I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
So today we're talking about self-tape auditions. How would you define a self-tape audition?
It's so easy. It's an audition you submit digitally.
Yeah, so it's
about it.
it's you submitting remotely, you actually not having to go into the room.
Correct.
You not having to drive across town. What are the benefits of self-tape auditions for both the actors and for the casting directors?
Good question. For the casting directors, it can definitely save them time and money, for sure. So a lot of times when you're casting a project and you're having a lot of actors come in on it, you have to hire a space, you have to hire extra staff, you have to facilitate the in and out. So with a self-tape, they just get to see it on a screen one at a time. There's no extra space involved, there's no extra time involved, it's really quick. They can decide right away, do we like this person? Yes pile, no pile, boom, they got their 10 people, they can forward on to producers right then and there. And it can save them, just time and money. With an actor, if you do a self-tape correctly, it can save you a lot of time and money, but if you do it incorrectly, it could cost you ever getting an audition.
And also, I think that it's important to reiterate that the self-tapes really allow the casting directors to widen their net, and they can audition people who are really, all across the country. They're not just limited to the people that are in town.
Right.
Yeah, so that's a benefit for both the casting director and for the actors.
Yeah, for the actor too. It opens up a whole new world of opportunity for you.
Should we pay someone to tape our auditions, or should we just do it ourselves?
That depends entirely upon the actor and upon your personality. So if you are the type of person who can pick up, learn a new skill, wants to get good at something, and has the patience and time to it's so quick and easy to learn, but some people just feel like it's too much, and we're going to get into how we can make it not feel like it's too much. So they find it easier just to go somewhere, and they might have their go-to spot where they hit up, but what if those people aren't available? What if you are not in the location you normally are, and suddenly you need to get something in, and you're on vacation in some remote area? There's no self-taping. You need to know what to do yourself.
I'm a big fan of just empowering yourself, and I feel like a lot of actors, most actors, feel powerless in our industry. And I feel like the more things that you can kind of take control over, and the more things that you can empower yourself to do yourself, it creates a sense of confidence, and it creates a sense that you're navigating your career.
Absolutely, and as you say that, I feel like it also creates more of a sense of teamwork, which is sometimes missing in the industry. We have that hierarchy going on with the actors, and then the casting directors, and here's the producers. It's like everybody's sort of learning to do everything and contribute and get the best possible product in
Absolutely.
the end. Yeah.
And I always say to the actors that come into the studio, if while you're waiting for your rocket, go out and find other ways to participate on film sets, because
Absolutely.
you will appreciate the people that are around you, and they will appreciate you because you're appreciating them. I think it's really important that you kind of try to wear as many hats along the way as possible, just so that you can appreciate what's going into actually creating the film.
Totally, it's also more fun.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
What does every actor need, equipment-wise, in their toolbox in order to have a successful audition?
Super simple, easy, standard answer across. A clean background. A lot of times we use a blue background. If office, they often have the blue screen behind you. It just kind of makes everybody's skin look good and kind of makes everybody pop. It's a nice, neutral, universal color, I should say.
It's sort of become the standard.
Yeah,
at this point.
it's the standard, but if you do not have a blue wall or a blue screen at your house, a clean background. You don't want curtains and your painting you did when you were 7 hanging in the background. Really, really important, you need to make sure you're well lit. I can't tell you how many submissions I receive for things that I produce where people are literally lit from behind, and you might not even know what I'm talking about right now. People don't even think about this.
That's so true.
You just think I'm in a well-lit room, but the window's behind me. So you either need to purchase some lighting that is going to light your face evenly, or you need to stand in front of a large window so I can see your eyes, I can see your features, I can see your facial expressions, I can feel your emotion. That's what is happening. We don't care what your hair looks like that day.
Yeah.
And it's, I don't need the silhouette of you. I need to see what's happening in here. So lighting, we'll put a link to some of these materials that you can buy, but you can buy those little lights now that, go around the cell phone, but you can also buy.
Yeah, like a ring light.
Yeah, like a ring light, but you can buy cheaper, stand-up lights that are just soft boxes that light, and they're anywhere from 50 to 200, depending on what you want to spend, which is nothing compared to what you will spend at repeatedly paying somebody for a self-tape.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's the lighting. Then there's the sound. If I can't hear you, what's the point? So you need to be mic'd. When you put something on tape, you have a script in front of you. You have what are called sides, and that is a piece of the script. So it's a scene from the script. Generally with 2 or more people, somebody else has to be doing all the other voices, You have to be heard. But one of the biggest pet peeves of casting directors is when the reader, you're over here going, but I don't want to go. I said, and then the reader's like, but you said it would, and all you can hear is the reader screaming in the background. It's just distracting, and it just ruins everything. So
yeah, and sometimes it's not even intentional. You're just saying that the reader is sometimes
the reader is close to the source of what's miking. So you have to get one of these that mics you where you're at as opposed to over at the camera. Yeah. So that would be another piece of equipment. The mic.
Yeah.
These are so cheap. You can get them on Amazon. These are cheap. They're $20. It actually plugs right into the iPhone.
Yeah.
Boom, done. I just want to mention one more thing that you need in conjunction with a camera. It is best if you don't have someone holding it, like your mom or your neighbor, because it gets shaky. You absolutely should have a tripod, something to stabilize it so that we are seeing just a clear, nice, focused image of you rather than it shaking all around and distracting us.
What if you put it on selfie mode and you hold it like this while you're acting? Do you think that's a good idea?
No, I don't think that's a good idea. However, I have myself in the past put it up on a bookshelf with a mirror, a window behind it. So you don't have to have somebody holding it, but that's if you are just doing something where it doesn't require a second voice.
Exactly, yeah. You just need a stable camera.
You just need it to be stable.
You don't necessarily need a tripod, but you do need it to be in a position where it's flattering to you,
right?
But it's not going to shake and it's not going to move.
Yeah, you can also just flip your laptop open and use that camera as well.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
A lot of casting directors will ask you to fully memorize. They say, please have her off book, which if you don't know what off book is, it means do not be reading from a script. I just want to talk about holding the pages sometimes can create sound and be really distracting, especially if the mic is here and your pages are here. So what I like to do is I put up my laptop for actors and I put it next to the camera, which is where we'll talk about eyeline and everything. But so I would also say a laptop or an iPad is really helpful to have up where you can see your lines and you don't have to be looking down at a script.
Sort of a do-it-yourself
Super
teleprompter.
helpful, exactly.
Yeah. So let's talk about following directions.
Shall we?
Pretty much every audition, every submission comes with a set of directions, right?
It better.
And what would you say, explain that to the audience.
Okay, so you are getting an email, usually, from your agent or manager or directly from casting if you're submitting yourself, that says, this is what we want to see and this is how we want to see it. I cannot tell you how many submissions I get for things where no one pays any attention to the directions.
Yeah.
So as an actor,
it's almost like a test. It's like
it absolutely
let's see
is.
If they can pass
because
the first
who wants to work with
test?
someone that cannot follow directions?
So true.
For example, it will say, we want to see the actor from the shoulders up because you need to see what's going on in the face. You need to see what's going on in the eyes, just like the lighting. We need to see what's happening.
And you want to see the emotional connection.
Exactly.
And it's really hard to judge that if
they're far away. Yeah.
Exactly.
But they will then most of the time ask for a full body shot. So then you will have whoever's running your camera pan up and down. So you see your full body, and sometimes they ask for a profile. So you do all of that. And oftentimes they will ask you for what is known as a slate, which is just the actor either standing there and giving a vocal slate, giving their information, which can include, again, read the directions. What do they ask for in your slate? Your name. I work with a lot of children, so they'll ask for your age. So your name, your age, your location, since we don't know where people are submitting from. Oftentimes it will ask for your representation, so the name of your agency or your manager. and a contact number. If you don't have an agent or a manager, you just basically put down your own phone number.
Yeah, and I think it's really important to add that you don't add a lot of information to your slate. That is
No,
unnecessary.
never add information to your
say
slate. Just
exactly
give them what they want.
Exactly, and yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes they'll ask you to hold it up on a piece of paper. They will say, please write this out and hold it up on a piece of paper. So then they'll ask you to shoot from the shoulders up, and then, also sometimes they'll send you 6 scenes, and you're like, oh my God, how am I gonna do all this by tomorrow? And at the bottom it will say, please prepare scenes 1 and 3.
Yeah.
But they didn't want to go through and cut all of that out. It just takes too much time, so they'll just put a note, and here you are preparing 6 scenes and screwing all of them up because you were nervous or overwhelmed when really you just had to do 1 and 3.
Yeah, and instead of them looking at how talented you are, they're just looking how you can't follow directions.
Exactly.
Yeah, so follow directions, kids.
There you go.
So what do you suggest people wear for their self-tape auditions?
That's an awesome question. I'm going to just flat out say, don't overdo it, don't underdo it.
Right.
And so there's a fine line often. You don't want to look a mess. For girls in particular who have, could have hair issues, or guys with long hair, don't want it hanging in front of your face. You want to look kept and clean, like you've got it together. But you don't want to, pop on a taffeta dress per se, or wear a suit and tie. It's not that kind of a thing.
How much should you dress for the part? Should you suggest the character, or do you want to wear a costume?
Again, fine line between suggesting and wearing. Definitely do not wear a costume.
Right.
We don't want to see that you're great at wardrobe. We want to see that you can act. So, okay, a guy's auditioning for a 1950s greaser. You don't want to come on, with a white shirt rolled up and a pack of cigarettes here with your hair greased. Like, you don't need to do that. But wearing a t-shirt and jeans works.
Yeah.
Because you're supposed to be blue collar, you're supposed to be kind of edgy. You don't want to come on in a suit and tie for that. And if you're auditioning for a lawyer, maybe a suit and tie is appropriate because it's not a costume, it's just something you would wear if you were that type of person.
What about props?
No.
No props?
No, I mean, there have been times, particularly now, there's a lot of cell phone usage, and you'll get a scene where she's picks up her cell phone and da-da-da-da. Sometimes my actors will have the phone, but don't come on with a bouquet of flowers or a box of chocolate and be like, I got these for you, and have them toward the camera. You just work with what you've got, and we can imagine the rest.
Yeah. I would say if the prop is an integral part of the scene that creates action, that seems like that would be a prop that you might want to have.
Yeah, and if it's minimal, you don't want some huge big distraction.
How much makeup should you wear if you're a woman, or actually if you're a guy too?
I think, I don't think guys need makeup for self-tapes at all. It's so up close and intimate and personal, and it's not supposed to be a finished product, and boom. For women, if you are a woman that wears makeup during the day, or if it's a part that's a little more mature than you actually are, or if it's a part that's younger, don't put on makeup. Think about what you're doing. You definitely don't want to be overdone like you're going on stage. But I would say the same applies for the beginning of a photo shoot as well. You want to start neutral and just let them see who you are without anything, getting in the way, distracting, getting in the way of that.
That's, I think, a general rule. You don't want to present anything in your self-tape that's going to be a distraction to you and your talent.
Right, but if you are 30 years old and or let's say you're 22 and they're calling you in for 16, you don't want to have major glamour beauty makeup on if you're trying to look about 7 years younger than you are. And likewise, if you're playing someone older or more edgy, a little mascara, a little lip gloss, a little shadow on the cheek, just make yourself pop.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have your equipment and you have your instructions from the casting director. You're ready to film. Walk me through the process.
Okay, find your wall or pop up your screen.
Okay.
Stabilize your camera. Bring your reader in. Make sure you are well lit with either the window or whatever lighting you buy. Plug in your mic. Make sure it's turned on.
Very important.
Yes,
Yeah.
because you can shoot an entire thing with your mic off and be perfect and have to do it all over again.
Well,
Plug
then
in
it
your
wouldn't
mic.
be perfect. It
Right,
wouldn't be
well, there you go. You can be perfect, but the circumstances aren't. Make sure that your reader knows what to look for. So if your reader is back there behind the camera and they either move and it's going this way and you're filming half your face, just make sure you clue your reader into reading those directions as well.
Yeah.
Make
And
sure you're
being a help to you.
Yeah, being a help to you. Make sure you're following the instructions for the shot. So you go, maybe make your reader stand there and make sure you focus in on your reader and make it look the way you want it to look. Switch spots. I will often, like I said, instead of holding sides, put up either an iPad or a computer screen so that I can have like that self-made teleprompter. And then, yeah, then you're ready to go.
How important is it to have all of these materials? Is there any wiggle room? I mean, what if you don't have a microphone? What if you don't have that blue background?
Yeah, there has to be wiggle room because you're going to end up in that scenario at some point. So you keep all of the things we just mentioned in mind, and then you do your best. So you think, where's the best lighting in this room? It's here. You know, how can I stabilize the camera without a person here? I can pile up a bunch of books and a box and put it on top. If you've got a bunch of picture frames hanging on the back wall and that's all you got, take them down.
Right.
Be creative.
Just have
fill in the blanks.
Have a clean
Yeah, have a
background
clean
behind you.
slate behind you. Otherwise, people are looking at the Van Gogh and not you.
Say you're on vacation or you're in a place where you don't have all of your equipment with you. Would you recommend continuing to audition with not all of your materials?
No, you absolutely send in your very best version of what you can produce given your current circumstances. So you find your best light. You keep everything in mind that we just mentioned. You find your best light. You stabilize the camera as best as possible. If you don't have a mic, you just make sure you're speaking up, not so that it's awkward and weird and that you're being unnatural, but
That
you know.
seemed very natural.
Oh, well, thank you. No, you just, you make sure you can be heard, heard, seen, and you're doing a good job. I mean, at the end of the day, does this person have talent?
Yeah.
So all of that stuff matters to a point. None of it matters if you're going to blow the audition because you didn't think about what was going on and you didn't study.
Exactly. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter how well your self-tape is produced. If you're not a good actor, that's going to show through. And similarly,
Especially if you're well lit.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, a really well-lit bad actor.
Yeah.
And so, you know, similarly, you can have subpar equipment, but if you're a really good actor, that's still going to shine through.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So the goal is just trying to get everything to the highest level of professionalism you can.
Correct. I just will add, what you absolutely should never do is say, it doesn't matter, I'll just pop my camera here and do this. You need to think about it and you need to show that you're invested. You can be as prepared as possible and you can have all your gear. If you bomb as an actor, or if you're not prepared or if you're just not studied well enough, you can have all of the technical things going for you, but in like the case of one of the actors from Stranger Things, I remember watching his audition tape and he's sick in bed. So all of this applies to a certain point. So if you're out traveling or you're ill or you're in a weird environment on a set and you can't manipulate the lighting and you don't have everything you need, just keep all of those things in mind, do your best, and just make sure you're doing good work.
Exactly. Do as much as you can
the
as far
work.
as the technical end of things.
Right.
And then, from an acting standpoint, deliver all that you got.
Yeah.
So what are some of your tips for giving a great audition?
Something beginner actors need to be really, really aware of is your eye line. So I guess we'll just flat out tell you, don't look into the camera.
Don't do it.
Don't do it, ever. Unless you're doing a commercial.
Oh, okay.
Something totally different, another video entirely. But when you are reading with the reader, you should always be just right or just left of the camera. So wherever you put your teleprompter, that makes it the easiest. A pitfall for young actors all the time, or beginning actors, is that they will have their eye line going great and then they'll glance over into the camera. So it's a good idea, it's a great idea to practice at home into a camera. Even if you don't have an audition, just work on your technique by yourself, looking to the left of the camera and speaking as if you're talking to another human being, not the camera, but you will notice that their eyes will dart like this, just checking back as if the camera's gonna be saying, you got it, you're doing it,
Or similarly, if they have the reader in the room or their parent in the room
Yeah.
or somebody that they're
Just
looking for approval.
darting outside of the scene,
Yeah.
boom, ruined.
Just focus on the imaginary person who's in the scene with you.
Correct,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
Ultimately, what you want to do is convince everybody watching you that you're a different person in another world.
Right.
And we don't want to have any inkling that you're who you are and that this isn't real. We want to be taken. I'm going to bring this prop in for a minute. If you are using pages, the last thing we want to see is the top of your head, particularly when you're saying I have waited so long to see you, and looking into your eyes is the most amazing thing I've ever done. Boom. We don't believe you.
I believed you.
Well, I'm trained. So what you want to do, especially if you're overwhelmed with like mad amounts of material and there's a lot to learn and you do need to hold your script, or you get it at 11 o'clock at night and they say, please have submissions by 3 p.m. the next day.
Or 6 a.m.
Yeah, 6 a.m. even. It's best to deliver your lines left or right of camera. And if you need to look down, take a moment. Don't be afraid to pause. And then let us see everything register in your face and you deliver your line. More importantly than delivering your line is keeping your eye line up when the other person responds. If you say to someone, I have been waiting my whole life for you to show up, but I could give a crap how you respond, you know? So almost more important than the words is how you receive what the other person is saying.
Absolutely,
and in life goes,
that goes to the point of, a lot of good acting is about just being a good listener and being present in the scene even when you don't have something to deliver.
Correct.
Yeah. In general, we want to make sure that your eyes are seen in the audition tapes, and so if you have a teleprompter, that's the best way to do it.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that you should only be using pages if it's
last minute, you don't have an outlet
exactly.
to plug something in. Yeah.
Or you're doing it on the fly, or you're away from your home studio,
or if the instructions say, please hold your pages.
There you go. Exactly, because sometimes there's some random
direction. Just follow it.
Yeah, follow it. Absolutely.
Okay. So yeah, the number one thing that you can take away from that is stay in the moment. Let us see your face. Let us see you register what the other person is saying. Let us watch you listen. It's engaging. We want to feel part of your world.
So you have all of your equipment, you have a great audition, you've filmed it to perfection, you feel good about it, you're ready to send it. Let's talk about post-production.
Okay.
How much should you edit your self-tape audition?
As little as possible. So the things you want to look out for are, sometimes before or after the scene, you've got like this going on, or you're like, okay. You can cut that stuff out.
Okay.
But as for any other editing, you want to go from front to back in that scene, let them see what you did, cut to the next scene, cut to the next scene. With your slate in the front, it should say in your directions what order they want things in. If it doesn't, you just use your brain, do your slate, your scene, your full body shot, and out. No big, graphics or music underlying it. They don't need that. They don't need transitions. They don't need any of those extra bells and whistles because it will detract from your performance and it wastes their time.
And how do you edit these audition tapes?
Any kind of simple editing software will do. So if you have something already installed on your computer, whether it's a Mac or Windows, iMovie, Premiere, they have apps that you can put on your iPhone. I have, or on your smartphone if you don't have an iPhone. I have iMovie on my phone. I edit almost everything directly from my iPhone into iMovie and upload. Well, we'll talk about uploading next, but I do everything from the phone.
But in general, you should just kind of become familiar with one editor and continue to learn how to use it. And
find what works for you.
You can Google it, look in the directions, and usually it's pretty simple.
Yep.
Okay, so once you've edited it, let's talk about saving and uploading it. Okay. Is there a specific way casting directors like their auditions saved?
Again, if they specify, then yes, you follow those directions. If not, you save it to whatever file size it saves down to. You upload it to a website or to a cloud that can handle the file size, so you won't be able to attach that large of a file to an email. So it's not like you just hit attach and send. So you can send it through something called SendSpace, WeTransfer, there's Dropbox, Google Drive. Those are the four main ones. And something else I want to mention that's really important, when you upload something like Dropbox or particularly Google Drive, there's a permissions button where you have to either click to let people edit. So there's a view only. So if people are viewing it, your agent or your manager or whoever you're sending it to can't download it and send it on if they need to. Unless that is clicked, people can edit and basically download this and send it on. So you just want to make sure the permissions are clicked so you can share it.
Yeah, and that's their first impression of you, is not being able to get into your audition and being frustrated by
trouble.
Yeah,
right
so,
away.
so let that not be the first thing that they think about when
Right.
they think about you.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. So that concludes our discussion of how to ace your self-tape audition. I'd like to thank my good friend Brooke Procida for coming and joining us here today and over the last few weeks. Thanks so much, Brooke. Your insights were incredible.
Thank you for having me. It was my pleasure.
So where can we find you online?
I can be found at studiopci.com.
And we can be found at shandonphotography.com/blog. There's lots of great videos and blog content that will help aspiring and working actors continue to make it in the entertainment industry. Thanks for coming, everyone. We'll see you next time.